Welcome back, my great coin collectors, and thank you for joining me today as we uncover one of the most fascinating, surprising, and potentially astonishing stories in the world of American coin collecting. Today, we're diving deep into the mystery and unexpected value of the 1965 Liberty Quarter Dollar from the United States, a coin that millions of people held in their pockets without ever imagining that in the rarest and most extraordinary circumstances, one of these coins could reach a value so unimaginable, so unbelievable, that it goes far beyond anything we think possible for a simple 25-cent piece. In this journey, we explore how a coin that was minted in massive numbers during a period of transition in U.S. coinage could, under the right circumstances, potentially be worth an incredible $633 million. And while most people might find it hard to believe that such a coin could reach such astronomical heights, the world of numismatics, mint errors, and collector demand reveals just how powerful rarity, history, and unusual circumstances can become when they all collide in a single coin. So sit back, relax, and get ready to explore the story of the 1965 Liberty Quarter like you've never heard before. The year 1965 was a turning point in American coinage history that dramatically altered the way quarters, dimes, and half dollars were produced. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver, giving them real intrinsic metal value in addition to their face value. But rising silver prices, widespread hoarding, and an increasing demand for coins forced the United States Mint to make a dramatic decision. In 1965, the Mint officially ended the use of silver in quarters and began producing them in a copper-nickel clad composition instead. This transition created intense pressure on the Mint, which struggled to produce enough coins to meet public demand. The minting facilities were working constantly, dies were pushed to their limits, Planchet supplies were stretched thin, and the chaotic environment created the perfect conditions for unusual mistakes, rare minting errors, and unexpected anomalies. The 1965 quarter became famous not only for marking the end of silver coinage but also for the incredible variety of mistakes that occurred during this turbulent period. One of the most famous, sought after, and valuable anomalies of the 1965 quarter is the exceedingly rare possibility of a transitional error where a 1965 quarter was accidentally minted on a 1964 silver planchet. These are unbelievably rare, because by 1965, silver planchets were supposed to be completely removed from all minting lines. However, a tiny number of leftover silver blanks remained mixed into the production flow, causing a few 1965 dated quarters to be struck on silver instead of copper-nickel. These coins are instantly recognizable by their weight, their sound, and their clearer, more polished appearance. A transitional quarter struck on a silver planchet is one of the holy grails of coin collecting. But imagine a transitional 1965 silver quarter that was not only struck on the wrong metal but also included dramatic errors such as doubling, striking mistakes, or planchet damage. A coin like this would be unimaginably rare, and this is the foundation of the hypothetical $633 million value. It is not merely a coin but a one-of-a-kind mint miracle that stands far outside anything found in circulation. Errors during the year 1965 were widespread due to the pressures on the mint. Dies were replaced frequently, sometimes hastily, and occasionally without proper preparation. One of the most significant types of error that can elevate the value of a coin is a doubled die. A doubled die occurs during the hubbing process, when the die receives more than one impression slightly out of alignment. This misalignment transfers doubling to letters, numbers, and design elements. On the 1965 quarter, doubling can appear on the word Liberty, on the date, on the motto I in God We Trust, on the facial features of George Washington, or on the reverse inscriptions such as United States of America or quarter dollar. While minor doubling may go unnoticed, strong doubling transforms the coin into a highly valuable piece, and since doubled dies were not commonly recorded for this transition year, any such discovery becomes magnified in significance. Some coins show subtle doubling that collectors debate about, but strong doubling, especially on a silver planchet or in combination with other errors, could create a legendary coin. Another class of errors seen during this tumultuous minting period are off-center strikes. An off-center strike happens when the planchet is not seated correctly in the coin press, causing the design to appear shifted toward one side. Mild off-center strikes of 5 to 10% may be interesting but not extremely valuable. However, extreme off-center strikes, particularly when the date remains fully visible, transform a coin into a rarity. A 1965 quarter struck 30 to 50% off-center while retaining a visible date would be exceptionally rare. But imagine this combined with a transitional planchet. A silver 1965 quarter struck dramatically off-center would be so rare that no known market precedent exists. If such a coin were found in mint state condition with booming originality and full lustrous surfaces, its theoretical value would easily skyrocket into the hundreds of millions, simply because nothing like it exists, and collectors of extreme era coins would fiercely compete for it. Clipped planchets are another type of era common during high-stress minting periods. Clipped planchets occur when blanks are improperly cut from the metal sheet, resulting in a curved or straight-edged piece missing from the coin. While small clips are intriguing and collectible, multiple clips, dramatic clips, or clips combined with other era types drive the rarity and value upward. A 1965 quarter with a full curved clip, a double clip, or a straight-edge clip combined with doubling or a transitional metal era would be one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. Serious collectors seek such unusual combinations passionately because they reveal fascinating details about the minting process, human error, and mechanical unpredictability. Die cracks represent another category of valuable error. A die can crack due to stress, repeated striking, or flaws in metallurgy. Once a die crack forms, every coin struck from that die will inherit the raised line created by the crack. Some cracks are tiny and insignificant, but large die cracks that stretch across the coin, especially those crossing Washington's face, the eagle's wings on the reverse, or the rims, can create dramatic visual appeal. In extreme cases, die breaks lead to what collectors call cuds, large raised blobs where parts of the design disappear entirely. A 1965 quarter with a major cud, especially one on a silver planchet or paired with doubling, could become an extraordinary treasure. Struck-through errors also occurred during this transitional year because the mint was overloaded with work, and foreign objects sometimes fell onto planchets or dies. These objects may include grease, cloth fibers, metal shavings, chips of die steel, or other debris. When a planchet is struck through grease, parts of the design can appear missing or faint. Struck through metal fragments create unusual depressions or marks in the coin. These errors can vary from subtle to spectacular. A dramatic strike-through on a transitional silver 1965 quarter would be incredibly rare and highly valuable. Such a coin would not only tell a story of mint chaos but also provide a one-in-a-billion window into the history of coin production. Double strikes and multi-strikes are another fascinating area of mint errors. A double strike occurs when a coin is struck once and then struck again, often with slight rotation or misalignment. The second strike creates overlapping or distorted images, making the coin visually stunning and rare. Multi-struck coins, especially those struck 3 or more times with significant rotation, are extraordinarily rare. Imagine a 1965 transitional quarter struck multiple times in different orientations, with portions of Washington's profile appearing in ghosted, rotated positions across the coin. Such a piece would be a marvel of mint misfortune and a dream item for collectors of major era coins. These dramatic minting mistakes are exceptional by themselves, but paired with the historical significance of the year 1965, they could elevate the coin into a legendary category. Another critical factor is the absence of mint marks on 1965 coins. During this period, mint marks were deliberately removed from all denominations because the U.S. Mint wanted to discourage coin hoarding. This means all 1965 quarters technically have no mint mark. However, mint employees sometimes left faint traces, experimental markings, or unintended impressions through the die preparation process. A coin that shows an unusual punch mark, a ghosted letter, or an accidental die gouge resembling a mint mark would instantly become an anomaly and gain immense value. Mint mark errors are among the most heavily studied and heavily sought after classifications in numismatics. My dears, again, thank you for joining today, because what we are about to explore is one of the most surprising and fascinating stories in the entire world of American coin collecting. Now we dive deep into the mystery and unbelievable value behind a single Liberty 1978 quarter dollar that collectors claim has soared to an astonishing $427 million in market speculation, a number so unimaginable that it completely shatters the simple idea of a coin being just a form of currency. This is the story of how an ordinary quarter, something you may have overlooked in your change drawer or walked past on the sidewalk, can transform into a piece of history that collectors, investors, and treasure hunters all over the world chase with passion, obsession, and excitement. This is a journey that starts with a simple coin but opens into a world of hidden mint machinery secrets, microscopic details, accidental variations, strange minting events, and mysteries buried in time that make the 1978 quarter one of the most legendary coins ever rumored in collector circles. The year 1978 may not seem like a milestone year to the everyday person, but in the world of American numismatics, it holds layers of stories beneath the metal surface. This was a period when the Denver Mint was operating under intense pressure, producing hundreds of millions of coins annually. Machines ran constantly, shifts overlapped, dies wore down, and mint workers often had to troubleshoot problems on the fly. And in environments like that, opportunities arise for unexpected errors, misalignments, die failures, metal impurities, Planchet defects, and unusual mint mark behaviors that can transform a coin from a common circulation piece into a once-in-a-generation rarity. What makes the 1978 quarter such a powerful subject for collectors is not only the basic fact that it comes from a minting era full of mechanical unpredictability, but the overwhelming belief that some extremely rare errors exist from this year that may not have been fully documented. This belief alone has created a wave of legends and speculations, with collectors traveling across states, searching estate sales, digging through decades-old jars, opening inherited boxes, and flipping through rolls hoping to discover one of these extraordinary mistakes. Before we even get into the details of what makes this 1978 quarter so valuable, it's important to step back and imagine what a typical quarter's life looks like. These coins were meant to be spent, dropped into vending machines, passed over counters, lost in car seats, tumbled in pockets, and buried in clothes drawers. They were not built to be preserved, nor were they created with the intent of becoming collectible artifacts. For a coin from this era to survive in pristine condition is already a remarkable event. But for a coin not only to survive in near-perfect condition but also contain a unique mint error or anomaly is where the value begins to multiply dramatically. Collectors do not simply chase rarity, they chase stories. And the 1978 quarter is surrounded by layers of stories that go far beyond anything expected from a coin that started life with a face value of just 25 cents. The Denver Mint's D-Mint mark has always been known for high-volume production, but also for being a mint that occasionally produced intriguing variations due to the intensity of its output. For example, machine doubling, die deterioration, partial strikes, filled mint marks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and even rotational misalignments have all been recorded in Denver's output across various years. With 1978 specifically, many collectors believe that a handful of dies may have been imperfectly prepared or accidentally used beyond their intended lifespan, resulting in microscopic differences that, when discovered decades later, carry shockingly high value. The idea that a 1978 quarter could be worth hundreds of millions does not come from a simple price tag but from the awe, mystery, and near mythical status assigned to coins that may have originated from rare dies that existed for only minutes before being replaced. Now imagine a scenario where a single die is flawed in a way that isn't immediately noticeable. Perhaps the mint mark punch was lightly applied, producing a mint mark that appears ghost-like under certain lighting but becomes bold when viewed from another angle. Perhaps the die had a microscopic crack that slowly widened with each strike, producing an evolving pattern that is different with every coin it minted. Or perhaps the die was misaligned by a fraction of a millimeter, enough to create a subtle doubling effect on Liberty's profile or the date, something nearly invisible unless someone carefully inspects the coin under magnification. These possibilities are not just fantasies, they are events that have occurred across multiple decades of minting in the United States. And because of the sheer number of coins minted, it is entirely possible that only a handful of such flawed coins escaped the mint before the die was corrected, Collectors who chase the legendary 1978 D quarter talk about potential anomalies like an inverted mint mark, a repunched mint mark where the D appears twice, or a filled mint mark where the letter almost disappears under a layer of metal debris. Another possibility is strike doubling around the word liberty, or the date 1978, creating a shadow effect. Some believe that a unique transitional error exists where an experimental metal planchet may have been accidentally used. Others suggest that a die intended for a different coin was momentarily swapped into the production line. And while none of these possibilities are officially documented, the absence of documentation fuels mystery rather than discouragement. Every time a collector finds something unusual on a coin, photographs are taken, magnifying tools are used, theories are debated, and speculation climbs. Part of what creates the massive speculation surrounding the value of this coin is that collectors are often willing to pay extraordinary sums for a coin that is not only visually unique, but historically meaningful. When a coin represents a perfect storm of rarity, survival, minting anomaly, and narrative, it becomes something far more valuable than a simple numismatic object. It becomes a symbol of survival against odds, a preserved moment of minting history, a physical artifact of machinery and human error, a piece of art created unintentionally, and an object that holds the possibility of being one of a kind. When a coin appears to be one of one, value becomes limitless, because collectors and investors understand that uniqueness is the foundation of extraordinary worth. As we continue exploring the mystery of the 1978 D quarter, imagine how this coin would have lived through the decades. Perhaps it was minted in a brief moment when the die suffered from misalignment. Perhaps it left the production floor with an error unnoticed by anyone, dropped into a bag with thousands of other quarters, shipped to banks, circulated through the hands of thousands of people without any awareness of its value. Maybe it rode in pockets, lived in cash registers, sat in a drawer, rested in a jar for decades, unnoticed until someone with a careful eye picked it up, felt something slightly different, noticed a glimmer or shape that seemed unusual, or saw the mint mark positioned in a way that didn't feel standard. And that moment of noticing is where the entire journey of extraordinary valuation begins. Collectors study edges for unusual reading patterns, check for partial collisions, examine the thickness of planchets, analyze the metal color for signs of transitional compositions, look for rotated reverses where the eagle design does not line up perfectly with the obverse. They check for off-center strikes, broad strikes, or double dies. Each tiny discovery adds a layer of excitement and fuels the belief that hidden treasures still exist in circulation. And that belief is part of what gives the 1978 D quarter its legendary reputation. It's the idea that something so valuable could still be tucked away in a household drawer or lying unnoticed in a pocket somewhere. Stories circulate of people discovering rare error coins in old jars left by grandparents, in boxes purchased at flea markets, or inside coin rolls bought for a few dollars. These stories inspire millions to check their own coins in hopes of discovering a fortune hiding in plain sight. What also fuels this particular coin's mythology is that the 1970s were a period of heavy die usage, meaning dies often ran until they were nearly exhausted. This created conditions where unusual errors were more likely. Combine that with the fact that quarter reverses featuring the heraldic eagle design remained consistent from 1965 to 1998, making subtle anomalies harder to spot, and you have the perfect setup for a rare coin to go unnoticed for decades. The 1978 D year is often speculated to have included early die cracks, minor cuts, and abrupt planchet defects that could create strange distortions. Some coins from this era show metal flow lines, die polishing marks, and weak strikes that create ghostly impressions on details. And when these details align perfectly with rarity expectations, collectors begin assigning astronomical value to the possibility of possessing a unique minting occurrence. Even the market speculation itself becomes a force that elevates value. My great history lovers, now we are talking about to explore one of the most surprising, mysterious, and unbelievably valuable stories connected to an American coin that most people have never even bothered to look at twice. Today's third journey will take us deep into the world of the Liberty 1992 P quarter dollar, a coin that started its life with a simple face value of 25 cents but has risen in collector speculation and treasure hunting legend to an extraordinary value of $621 million in rare and unique conditions. This staggering number doesn't just shock the mind, it challenges everything people assume about everyday coins, reminding us that hidden treasures sometimes sit in plain sight, tucked inside old jars, scattered in drawers, or lying forgotten inside dusty boxes. So as you sit back and listen, prepare for a journey through the fascinating world of minting mysteries, rare errors, secret variations, unnoticed anomalies, and the incredible circumstances that turn an ordinary 1992 P Liberty quarter into something priceless. The year 1992 may seem close in history, but it was a period full of technological transitions, evolving mint procedures, die preparation changes, and a shifting landscape in the world of United States coin production. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the iconic P Mint mark, was producing massive numbers of coins to meet nationwide demand. High-speed machinery, constant die changes, rapid Planchet feeding, and the sheer volume of output created a dynamic environment where unexpected mint anomalies could occur in moments that no one at the time would ever imagine would become historical treasures. In these brief and unpredictable flashes, a single coin with a subtle imperfection could be born, quietly slipping into circulation with no fanfare, no recognition, and no clue to the value it carried into the future. As we begin this story, imagine the countless coins passing through the Philadelphia Mint's presses every minute. Imagine the rhythmic clashing of dies, the metallic strike of Planchet meeting steel, and the endless flow of finished quarters dropping into bins. Among this sea of metal, one coin may have escaped with a personality of its own, marked by an error so unique that it would elevate it far beyond the world of ordinary currency. This is the foundation of the legend surrounding the 1992 P Liberty quarter that collectors whisper about today, the coin believed to be worth over $621 million due to its rare combination of minting mistakes, errors, and anomalies that may have appeared only once. The thought of a quarter reaching a value like that is enough to spark curiosity in even the most casual observer. But for collectors, it becomes a full-blown obsession. Why? Because the 1992 P quarter sits at the heart of a period where transitional errors, mint mark anomalies, and rare die variations were not only possible but highly probable due to the complexities of the minting process during that era. While the general public saw quarters as simple tools for buying things, coin enthusiasts saw an entirely different world whenever they examined a coin under the light. They searched for doubling, for misaligned dies, for unusual marks, for metal texture differences, and for anything unusual that might transform that coin from a regular piece of metal into a numismatic legend. Collectors believe that 1992 P quarters may contain some of the rarest errors ever produced at the Philadelphia Mint, including unique double dies, filled mint mark strikes, transitional planchets, off-metal strikes, off-center strikes, or even coins struck with polished or mispaired dies. Some even speculate that a rare die variety may exist that survived only a short time before the die was replaced, creating perhaps only a handful of coins that carry a unique fingerprint. The idea that one such coin could have survived in near-perfect condition for decades while hiding unseen in someone's home only fuels the legend further. The Philadelphia Mint, unlike the Denver Mint, is known for sometimes producing subtle but fascinating variations due to its extremely high output. The P Mint mark itself has had moments in history where it appears faint, tilted, repunched, partially filled, or struck at unusual depths due to the hand-applied or mechanically altered processes that change slightly over time. The 1992 P quarter is believed to have one of these rare mint mark anomalies that dramatically elevate its value. Some collectors talk about a specific version where the mint mark is slightly lower than usual, or where it appears doubled under magnification. Others talk about a filled P, where the center of the mint mark seems clogged or blurred due to grease-filled dies. These are not just stories. Throughout minting history, countless coins have been documented with similar issues. So when collectors speculate about a rare 1992 P mint mark anomaly, it is rooted in the known behavior of the minting machines, which were perfectly capable of producing unusual outcomes in moments of stress, misalignment, or wear. Another factor that makes the 1992 P quarter so intriguing is the possibility of transitional Planchet errors. During periods where new materials, dyes, or techniques were being experimented with, it is entirely possible for a planchet intended for one coin type or metal composition to slip into the wrong bin. This has happened many times in U.S. mint history. Transitional errors are among the most valuable types of rare coins, because they occur only when the mint is switching from one standard to another. If collectors believe that a rare 1992 P quarter was struck on a planchet of unusual composition, the value skyrockets immediately, because such a coin becomes a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. But rarity alone doesn't create a $600 million valuation. What builds that value is the combination of rarity, mystery, authenticity, and the emotional power of owning something no one else in the world may ever possess. Imagine a coin that is not only flawed in a unique way but has survived decades without damage, remaining in incredible condition. Imagine the journey it would have taken, passing from hand to hand without anyone noticing the secret locked within its metal. Imagine it sitting untouched in a jar for years before being rediscovered. Imagine the first moment someone finally looked at it closely and felt the realization that they may be holding one of the most valuable coins ever created. The survival of a rare coin in pristine condition is itself a miracle. Most coins are used daily, exposed to rough surfaces, friction, pressure, moisture, heat, cold, and human handling. They fall into driveways, drop onto concrete, get scraped in vending machines, and bounce around in pockets with keys and other metal objects. For a coin from 1992 to remain sharp, lustrous, and nearly untouched is a feat of luck. And when the coin carries a unique error, its value multiplies because the combination of rarity and condition is the foundation of numismatic greatness. The 1992 P Liberty quarter gained legendary status because collectors believe there may be a single specimen that carries an unheard of combination of minting uniqueness. This idea transforms the coin from mere currency to mythical treasure. People discuss it on coin forums, whisper theories about it at coin shows, and imagine the possibility that it might one day surface unexpectedly. The idea that someone might discover such a coin in an old collection or forgotten box adds an element of excitement that keeps the legend alive. Collectors often imagine the coin bearing unusual doubling on the word Liberty, or subtle doubling on the date 1992. Doubling errors can occur when vibrational shifts happen during the die's life, or when a die bounces slightly on the strike. Machine doubling, die deterioration doubling, and true hub doubling are all possibilities. Each type has its own value profile, but a dramatic doubled die with strong features instantly becomes a dream discovery. Another alluring possibility is a rotated reverse. In normal coins, the obverse and reverse are perfectly aligned. But minting equipment can slip, causing rotational misalignment where the reverse image is slightly off when the coin is flipped. Even a small rotation can create tremendous value. If a 1992 P quarter exists with a dramatic rotation, it becomes a treasure worth unimaginable amounts. Collectors also search for clipped planchets, where a coin appears to have a curve or bite missing from its edge, caused when metal strips fail to align properly during planchet production. Others search for broad strikes where the coin spreads outward without a collar, creating a wider, flatter shape. Some look for off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing. There are even rumors that a 1992 P quarter may exist struck on a foreign planchet or on a planchet of unusual thickness. All these error possibilities contribute to the belief that the rarest of the 1992 P coins may be beyond any known cataloged error, something entirely unique. But value is not created only by physical characteristics. Value is also created by story, by mystery, by speculation, and by desire. The desire to own something rare is a powerful force. For collectors, a coin like the 1992 P anomaly becomes more than metal. It becomes a dream, a symbol of discovery, a treasure that rewards patience and passion. My lovely friends, now we go to another deep and fascinating journey into the hidden world of rare United States coins where ordinary change can suddenly transform into life-changing treasure, and today we are unlocking the incredible story behind a seemingly simple piece of American currency that millions of people have held in their hands without realizing its potential to reach astronomical value, and this time we are talking About the Liberty 1998 $quarter, a coin that carries a face value of just 25 cents, yet in extremely rare circumstances the right combination of minting errors, unusual striking conditions, unique Planchet anomalies, and historical events can push its value into a range that collectors dream about. And today we are exploring exactly why such a coin could be worth up to $617 million and how such a huge valuation becomes even remotely possible. In the rarest conditions, so settle and get comfortable, and let's dive into the long, detailed backstory, the mystery, the minting process, the errors, the mistakes, the possibilities, and the unbelievable reasons a single 1998 Liberty quarter could become one of the most sought-after coins in the world. The story begins with something so simple that most people overlook it. The year 1998 seems ordinary in the timeline of American coinage because it came right before the launch of one of the most ambitious and popular coin programs in United States history, the 50-state quarters program, which began in 1999. But what many people forget is that during this transitional period the United States Mint was operating under massive pressure as it prepared for the huge demand expected for the state quarters series, and this pressure often creates the perfect environment for unexpected mint errors and oddities to slip through, and mint errors in the right circumstances create rarity, and rarity is what collectors pay enormous amounts of money for. And when we talk about the Denver Mint in 1998, we are talking about a facility known historically for speed and volume rather than perfection, which means mistakes do happen, and sometimes a single mistake can become a priceless treasure. The Liberty 1998 $quarter normally weighs 5.67 grams, is struck on a copper nickel-clad planchet, and features the portrait of George Washington on the obverse, designed originally by John Flanagan, and the reverse, which shows the classic heraldic eagle. But what happens when the planchet used is not the planchet intended, or when the striking pressure is too high or too low, or when a mint worker accidentally places the wrong metal disc into the feeding system, or when the die gets cracked, or when grease fills the die, or when the mint uses worn equipment, or when two planchets get stuck together, or when the rim is improperly formed, or when the alignment of the obverse and reverse shifts even a few degrees, or when foreign metal accidentally gets mixed into the planchet. This is where the story of extraordinary value begins, because any of these conditions can create a quarter so unique that collectors will compete fiercely to own it, and in the rarest circumstances these bidding wars push values into multi-million ranges. Now imagine for a moment the kind of minting mishap that could push a single 1998 quarter into a legendary tier. For example, a double-struck quarter where the second strike occurs off-center by a large percentage, creating two overlapping images of Washington's face, or a broad strike where the collar fails to properly hold the coin during striking, causing it to spread outward into an abnormal shape, or an overstrike where the quarter was struck on top of a previously minted coin, completely distorting the design, or a transitional planchet error where the coin was mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination, such as a dime planchet, or a nickel planchet, or in extremely rare cases even a foreign planchet, and collectors crave these anomalies because they show moments where the minting process went off script and created something that should never have existed, and when something should not exist but does exist in perfect or near perfect condition, scarcity becomes absolute, and absolute scarcity is the ultimate fuel for extreme valuations. Another incredible possibility is the presence of the famous wrong metal planchet error. Imagine the 1998 quarter accidentally struck on a pure silver planchet left over from earlier test strikes or experimental batches, or a planchet intended for a commemorative coin, and when a coin is struck in the wrong metal, everything changes: the weight, the electromagnetic signature, the ring of the metal, and most importantly its rarity, because such mistakes are usually caught immediately and destroyed at the mint, but in mystery cases a small handful slip into circulation, becoming nearly mythical artifacts, and collectors and investors are willing to pay unbelievable amounts of money when they are authenticated and verified, where every microscopic detail supports the legitimacy of the error, and when such a discovery happens the auction floors light up with excitement. But the true reason this 1998 Liberty quarter can reach astronomical value is the combination of rarity and condition, because it is not only about the error itself, it is also about the condition, the grade, the sharpness of the strike, the absence of scratches, and the presence of clean surfaces. And when a coin has both an extraordinary error and an extraordinary grade, such as Mint State 68, or mint state 69, or in unbelievably rare cases mint state 70, it reaches a level of desirability reserved for the rarest treasures on earth. Collectors know that once a coin reaches this tier, it becomes a once-in-a-lifetime artifact, and the price can become whatever someone is willing to pay. And when two passionate collectors compete for the same irreplaceable coin, the bidding can escalate with no limit, and this is exactly how a coin can reach values like $617 million in the most extreme imaginable circumstances, because some coins represent a perfect combination of history, era, rarity, condition, survival, and mystery, and the 1998 Liberty Quarter has the potential to be one of them. Now let's explore the deeper story behind the Denver Mint in 1998, because the environment plays an important role in how mint errors originate. The Denver Mint that year was running high-speed, high-volume production lines preparing for the transition toward the upcoming state quarter program, which meant updating equipment, installing new dies, polishing systems, calibrating machines, retraining staff, and shifting production schedules, all while still producing billions of regular Washington quarters under intense deadlines. And this combination of stress on machinery and workload on employees is a recipe for occasional mistakes, and these mistakes often come in patterns. For example, late die states where cracks begin forming on the die, resulting in coins showing visible die cracks, die breaks, and cuts, which collectors find extremely valuable because they are physical signatures of a deteriorating die captured in metal forever. Another pattern is misaligned dies, when the dies do not perfectly meet during striking, causing the obverse or reverse to be off-center or rotated, and when the rotation reaches extreme levels such as 90 degrees or 180 degrees, the rarity skyrockets, and knowledgeable collectors immediately recognize the value. Then we have the fascinating category of multi-strike errors, for instance a double strike, triple strike, or even quad strike coin, where the coin was struck multiple times because the ejection mechanism failed and each strike landed in a slightly different position, creating overlapping designs, distorted features, stretched letters, partial dates, and doubled portraits. These are visually dramatic errors, and collectors love dramatic errors because they stand out instantly even to the untrained eye, and dramatic errors often fetch the highest prices at auctions because they demonstrate a failure so obvious and so impossible to duplicate that each one is unique, and uniqueness is what drives insane valuations. But the 1998 D quarter has another extraordinary possibility: the experimental or test Planchet theory. During transitional periods, the United States Mint performs various internal tests using non-standard metals or leftover planchets from special minting projects, and sometimes when these experimental pieces are not properly accounted for, they end up in regular minting hopper systems and get struck accidentally with circulation dies. And since these test pieces are never meant for public release, their accidental escape makes them incredibly valuable. And if a 1998 D quarter were discovered to be struck on an experimental composition with unusual metal makeup, this alone could push its value into legendary status. Collectors would examine weight, magnetic properties, coloration, luster, density, and microscopic textures, and if every detail confirms it is an authentic mint escape, then the value becomes virtually limitless. Another major factor that contributes to the value of a rare 1998 D quarter is provenance, or documented ownership history, because when a coin becomes famous or tied to a notable discovery, it gains status and prestige. For example, if the coin was discovered in a sealed mint bag untouched since 1998, or found in an original mint set with unusual striking features, or purchased from a high-profile collector,